Hi, all. Good evening and welcome to the training. So we have started a concept of object-oriented programming and okay. So this is what we have been discussing in the previous topic. So Python is an object-oriented programming language. So when any language which satisfies the below principles like encapsulation, inheritance, abstraction, polymorphism, and you are able to create an object and a class, right? Then it is called as an object-oriented programming language. Okay. And what is object? Object is a physical entity. Okay. Object is a physical entity. Class is like a logical entity. Okay. Class is like a logical entity. And basically everything in Python is a class. So whenever I'm trying to declare a class, right? Any real world object can be represented in form of a class. Any real world object can be represented in form of a class. For example, I want to give one more example to clarify your questions. Okay, so for example, what we can say about a class is like basically a so if you have a real world thing like a pen or a chair or a car, right? Any real world entity can be represented with the help of class and object. So how you are going to, whenever you are working with classes and object, right? You have to remember only one thing. Okay, a class contains properties. Okay, it will contain properties, and it is also called as attributes. Okay, it's also called as attributes, and other one is behavior. People call it as actions. Actions is nothing but your methods. Just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. Yeah, I'm back. Sorry, there was some production issue, and I was discussing and taking the points on that. Basically, we should be very much comfortable with the class and object. So some people were not available yesterday. So I'm trying to repeat it. So what I'm going to show is any real world entity can be represented as a class. Okay. Every class will have two things, properties and actions, or it is called as attributes and behavior. Both are same. Behavior. This is nothing but variables. This is nothing but variables. And this is nothing but methods. Till here it is clear? Yes, no? Okay.
Okay, sir.
Clear, right? Till here it is clear, right? So yesterday I was discussing about one program, right? The basic program, how it will be assigned and how you are going to, this is how I declare a class, and this is the constructor. And what is the purpose of a self is self will refer to the current object. Purpose of self is self will refer to the current object. Okay. Similarly, what I want to do is, and there are two types of variables. So one is called as an instance variable. Other one is called as a static variable. Okay, there are two types of variables in it. Let's see them. So simple, in order to say in a simple words, right? Like let me create one class called a student. Okay, so I'm explaining the people who are not available yesterday. So let me create one class. How do you create a class? Class, name of the class. The name of the class is student. Okay. Now, what I'm saying, any class is a logical entity. It will not occupy any memory, right? So any class, yeah, any class will have attributes which are nothing but variables and behavior, which is nothing but a method. So what attributes a student can have? Student can have name, age, and marks. Okay. Attributes would be like name, age, and marks. So how do I create it? I have to use a constructor to assign some values to it. So def two dots underscore init in it, and what are the variables I'm going to take is, so let's take 3 variables inside this. I'm going to call it as self.name is equal to Shekhar. Okay, self.age is equal to 40. And the next one is self.marks is equal to 90. Like this, I'm going to take. Now, this is my constructor. These are my variables. These variables are called as instance variable. That means a class student is created, and these 3 variables are available to it. Now a class will not occupy any memory. Okay, a class will not occupy any memory. I need to create an object. I need to create an object of that particular class. Okay, so how do you create an object? How to create an object? Just like that. But here I'm only declaring it, and I have to print them, right? So I'll create one more method. Okay. I'll create one more method like a def show. And I'm taking it as self. In this method, I'm going to print these 3 variables. Print my name is plus self.name. Okay, in this method, I'm going to print is my age is similarly, I'm going to print self.marks. Like this, I'm going to create a method. Now, this will initialize my values. Okay, constructor is used to initialize the values, and in this method, I'm trying to print them. Now, what I need to do? I need to create an object of this particular class. How do I do it? I'm going to call it as S1 is equal to student. S1 is equal to student. And here I'm going to student. Okay.
So this S1 should be exactly below class, right?
It should be exactly below class. Yes.
Yeah.
Like this. Okay. Otherwise, it will come under the method. Okay.
Yeah.
And now S1 dot show. So this will it will assign these values and it will print us. Let us see this code. My age is can only concatenate string and not integer. Okay. Near age it is failing. Okay. str see, like this, I am creating one class student, and these are the values which are assigned to it. And this is how I'm going to print them. Is this clear for everybody? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you make a note of it? Slowly increase the complexity. Okay, so this is how we create a class. This is how we create an object. Okay. But if you have, is it completed? Just let me know once you are completed.
Sir, can you copy and paste this in chat box? Yeah.
Okay. So what happens, whenever I'm creating an object, okay, whenever I'm creating an object, always the same values will be assigned to it. Okay, for example, S2 and S2, right? One drawback of this method, right? Always the same values will be assigned to my object. Look at here. I've created an object here, and this is a S1 and this is S2. Same values are being assigned to it. But generally in real time, we don't have this, right? Every time the objects keep on changing. Every time the objects keep on changing. For that purpose, we have to pass the values here, and these values will be assigned to the constructor. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll create three variables, same variables, name, age, and marks. So I'm going to create a comma, name, comma, age, comma, marks. And now rather than assigning a hard-coded values, okay, I'm going to assign these variables to it. Okay, this is nothing but a local variables. Okay, these are called as local variables and these are called as instance variables. The variable which is on the left hand side is called as an instant variable. The variable is on the right hand side is called as a local variable. Okay, age, and here it is marks. Okay, now whatever values you want to pass, right, here you can pass like Shekhar, okay, comma 30, comma 90. Similarly, here you can pass Raj, $25, 85. Okay, now what will happen? Now I'm going to create two objects, and whatever values you are passing here, right, this will be assigned to that particular object. See, this is how it will be assigned to that particular object. Maybe I'll create one more variable and okay, like this, I can create multiple objects of a class. Okay, so what do you mean by an object? What do you mean by an object? Object is nothing but a physical existence of a class. Okay, well, class is a logical entity, like a blueprint. When you're constructing a house, right? The plan is like a class. Your real house is like an object, right? So physical existence of a class is an object. Physical existence, it is going to occupy some memory. Physical existence of a class is called object. Is it clear what I'm talking?
Yes, sir.
Yes, can you make a note of it? This one is like to create multiple classes, sorry, to create multiple objects and assigning different values using constructor. And assigning different values using constructor. Is it clear? How do you access these variables? Using self dot variable name. Done? Yes, no?
Sir,
Yeah, tell me.
there is self is mandatory, sir.
Yeah, self is mandatory. Why? Because it will refer to the current object. Okay. See, like this, if you look at this, if you look at this diagram, right? I've created two objects. Okay, I've created two objects, and this self means whatever object is there, right? This will point to this particular value. Okay. For example, in practical, what will happen? Like whenever I'm creating, let me practically represent through paint. A class is created. The name of the class is student. Okay, and like this, it will be created student. Okay, the class, sorry, object is an object. Okay, and here this will S1. It is called as S1. It will have its own variables. Okay, it will have its own name, age, and marks. Okay, so this is S1. Similarly, one more object will be created and it is called as S2. Okay. Okay. In order to refer, do you have any idea about this keyword in Java? Any idea on this keyword in Java? It is similar to that concept. Okay. And here one more variable S2 is created. One more variable S2 is created. Okay. And in order to access this, we have to use a keyword called as self. Self will refer to the current object. Okay. Self will now when at line number 9, self is referring to L underscore obj1, and at line number 10, self is referring to L underscore obj2. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you should be in a position to create an object, create a class, and create objects of a class. So what does a class contain? A class contains attributes and behavior. Attributes are nothing but variables. Behavior is nothing but methods. So this class is having 3 variables. These are called as instance variables. Okay. Self and name is, these are called as instance variables. And this is a method. In order, how do you access an instance variable? We access an instance variable using name keyword. Okay, are we good till this level?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next one is we discuss about the constructor, right? So this is how I'm creating it. I have a class called a student. I have a constructor and I have one variable. And here there are 2 types of constructor. One is the default constructor, and other one is the parameterized constructor. Look at here. So here what I'm doing is I have one class. There is a constructor. This is called as non-parameterized constructor because I'm not passing any parameters to it. And this is a method called as hello. And here in this method, what I'm doing is I have a thing called as name, and I'm printing hello plus self dot name. This is how I'm passing. Is this clear? So it's a simple class which is having one constructor, and there are no, if parameters are not passed, look at here. Here I'm not passing any parameters here. If the parameters are not passed, then it is called as a non-parameterized constructor. If I am passing parameters, it is called as a parameterized constructor. Okay. So here what I am doing is I'm not passing any parameters to it. So I'm creating an object of this class, and the show method will print the name of it. Line number hello.self. You need not even pass self process to become a constructor. This will be assigned to this variable and it will get printed. Okay. So what do you mean by a non-parameters constructor? If I'm not passing any values to it, it is called as a non-parameters constructor. Generally, we don't use non-parameterized constructor. Why? Because whenever we create an object, we want to assign some parameters to it. Okay. So this is an example of a non-parameterized constructor. And what is the example of a parameterized constructor? I think you've already taken this. If you have not taken, just make a note of it. Did you write it down yesterday? Yes, no.
No, sir.
Oh,
Yesterday,
not written. If you're not written, just make a note of this. This concept is called as a non-parameterized constructor. Means a constructor without any parameters.
Yes, sir. Done, sir.
Done, right? Now,
Yes.
if I am assigning some parameters to a constructor, it is called as a parameterized constructor. So how do I assign parameters to it? Okay, so same class I have taken. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign some parameters to it, like student will have name, comma, let's say marks. Two parameters I'll take. So this is called as a parameterized constructor. Why? Because I'm passing some assignment values to it, and whenever you are having this parameter, right, we need to initialize it. Okay, self dot marks is equal to marks. This is how we create it. And here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass my name, and directly in the object itself, I'm going to pass Shaker. And I'm going to pass 80. And here, I'm not going to take any method. Hello. Show method called. And here I'm removing this. That is without any parameters. And I have to print them, right? Okay, so I'm printing. My name is plus self.name. My marks are self.marks. Okay, now look at here. 80 and Shaker and 80 will get printed. Line number 19. This is a graph. Parameterized constructor. My name is Shaker, and here it is a. We need to convert it into string because we are concatenating. Okay, parameterized constructor. My name is Shaker. My marks are, and I'm calling the show method. So show method will also get printed here. Now, this type of variables are called as instance variables. Okay, whatever you see on the left hand side is called as instance variable. This is called as a local variable. There is one more variable called as a class variable. Just make a note of this, then we'll go to a variable called as a class variable. So interview question would be, what is the difference between a constructor and a method? Okay, based on your observations, can you tell some points? What is the difference between a constructor and a method?
Yeah, constructor will not return any value.
Okay. Method may or may not return a value. Okay. What else?
And method is similar to function. Right?
Method and function are almost same.
Same, yeah.
What else? Observation. This is a very basic question. They ask you, like, if you are having less than 3 years of experience, they'll be asking you the question. Can you tell me the difference between a method and constructor?
We can use any name for method.
So name of the method can be any name. Name of the method can be
Any name.
Okay, name of the method can be any name, whereas the constructor should always have this as the name
in it. And one thing, this one, if you can scroll up.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, in the class, this S, should it be capital every time after class, row number 16?
Not required, not required, not required. But ideally, standard is class should start with capital letter. It's not mandatory to use. Okay. It can be small letter also. Okay, it
Okay.
can be small letters, not mandatory to use a capital letter. Okay.
Okay.
And constructor always name should be in it. So constructor is called automatically when an object is created. Well, and
Method returns the value.
yeah, created. But whereas a method is executed only when it is called. Or I can write method should be called explicitly. Okay, by object dot method name. Method can be called any number of times. Any number of times. But constructor is called only once per object. Okay, constructor is called only once per object. So generally inside a method we write business logic. Okay, whereas constructor we used to declare the we initialize the variables, instance variables. We initialize instance variables. That is what I'm doing right here. I'm instantiating my variables inside a constructor. Okay, just make a note of it if you know. One concept called as a class variable. Okay, one more concept we have is a class variable. Okay, let me create one class. I'll call it as fruit. Okay, I'll call it as fruit. And I'll till now I was declaring my instance variable inside a constructor, right? If I declare any variable outside a constructor but inside a class, then this variable is called as a class level variable. I'm declaring one variable called as count is equal to 0. This is called as a class level variable. Okay, this is called as a class level variable. Now I am here. So any real world entity can be represented in the form of a class, right? So I'm going to create one method. Okay, def init, and I'm going to take three variables. These are local variables: name, size, color. Okay, here I'm going to write self.name is equal to name, self.size is equal to size, and self.color color is not coming. So color is a inbuilt keyword, I think. Color is a class, I think. Okay, I don't think it is a inbuilt keyword. Okay, like this, I create one constructor. Now, what I'm doing is inside this constructor, whenever I create an object, right, that means one fruit gets created, right? So I want to say fruit dot count is equal to fruit count plus 1. This is what I want to do. Now what I'm going to do, like I'm going to create one object of it. So F1 is equal to fruit, going to pass apple 4 comma size is red. Okay. Like this I pass. Okay. Similarly, I create one more object F2 fruit, and I pass orange or banana. It as low. Okay. So I'm initializing it, right? I have to print this. This is a class level variable. One thing you need to remember is it is a class level variable. And if you want to print a class level variable, it should be printed inside a class level method only. Normal method will not work. So I'm calling it as def. Count objects is my method name. Okay. Here I'm saying print COUNT. See, it's not recognizing it because why it is not recognizing it means it is not a class variable, right? So sorry, it is not a class method. So class variables are accessed inside a class method only. They're not accessed outside of it. Okay. Okay. If you're not writing a class method, it will throw there up. I'll show you this. See what it says is fruit missing 2 required position arguments, size and color. I'm printing F1 dot count object. F1. Look at this. I'll tell you the difference. I'll tell you the difference. Look at it. It is giving you 2. Sorry, it is giving you 2. Okay. Why it is giving you 2 means first time when I create an object, this value incremented from 0 to 1. When I create a second object, this value incremented from 1 to 2. If I create one more object, right, then value will be incremented from 2 to 3. Okay. So one thing you remember that ideally a class variable will be declared inside a class method only. But you can access it within a normal method also. This is how we declare it. Okay. So what is a class method? Let me see. Python class method. Not an object, correct. See, you have declared one variable called a school. This is a constructor, and this is a class method. We have to, if you're declaring anything outside the constructor and inside a class, then this is called as a class variable. And a class variable need to be declared inside a class method. See, this is how I'm declaring. See, here I'm not passing self. It's passing class. It refers to the class variable. Here it refers to school name. And whenever I'm creating it, right? So generally we have to declare inside a class method only. Just make a note of that. So this is a student. This is a class method, and I'm declaring a class variable inside a class method. Okay, don't make it complicated. Just make it very simple. Like basically, if you are declaring a variable outside a constructor and inside a class, then this is called as a class method. Okay, and whenever I'm creating a class method, right, it is not required to create an object. Okay, like object, I'm not. Ideally, it should be directly. You can call this is a class. If it's a class method, you can call it directly. See, I'm not. I'm calling with the class level only. Food dot. How a class method will be called? The class method will be called directly with the class dot method name, not with the object. Like this, it will be called. Okay. So this is how we create a parameterized constructor and non-parameterized constructor. And this is how we create a class method and a class variable. Are we clear on this? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next concept is nothing but inheritance. Any idea what is inheritance? Any idea what is inheritance? Any real world example of inheritance?
Getting the methods of the parent class to the child.
Correct. But example, where it is used.
For example, if we created a method in class A, okay, the same method can be retrieved in another class.
General real world examples you tell, not in computer.
Whatever
Yes.
property my father has.
Correct. It will be inherited to you, right?
Yes.
Okay. See, I'll give you one basic example. When you go to a hotel, right, and when you order biryani, generally, if you say veg biryani or chicken biryani, right, the rice would be common, correct?
Yes.
Yes or no? Rice would be common. When you say chicken biryani, he will take the rice, which is the base class, and he'll add chicken to it, and he'll call it as a chicken biryani. Okay, when you order egg biryani, he'll take the rice, which is common, and he'll add egg to it, and he'll call egg biryani. Correct or no? Yes, this generally we observe this, right? For vegetable biryani, like he take the vegetable rice and directly give it to you. That means you are reusing the existing one in the new, and you are not starting from scratch. Okay, you are reusing the existing one, and you are not starting from scratch. That is called as inheritance. See, I'm reusing the base class. I'm reusing the base class. For example, if you have observed this cars, like what do you say, in Hyundai we have this they've just extended from hatchback to sedan. Okay, and they created a new model. Once again, we'll take some real world examples. It will be easy to understand. Sorry, cars, not cars. showing Singapore because my laptop is of Singapore, so it is showing Singapore. 1 second. Give you one good example for you to understand. Grand item. Anybody know grand item? Yes, no. Grand item car in India. Yes or no? Have you seen the car?
No, sir.
No, sir.
You have not seen it. Huh? Okay, let me show you that. So this car is station. Okay, here it is. Let's see. This is Santro. Nios. It is called as Nios. See, this is how it looks like. This is how it looks like. Okay. It is how it looks like. Observe carefully. This is how a grand item looks like. And they made a small, slight modification. This is how an aura looks like. Okay. This is how an aura looks like. Look at here. It is exactly similar to this one, Nios. Exactly similar to Nios. Only thing is the length they have increased. Are you able to observe? Exactly similar. If you compare, right, aura and look at here. Now this will give you the clear picture. Look at here. What they have done is, okay, if I am comparing here, right, it is exactly similar to grand item. Only thing is they have increased the length. Okay. So how they have done is they have taken the base and they added some extra features. This is nothing but inheritance. Okay, from the base class only you are going to derive the new class. And let's see one small example. Okay, inheritance concept is 14th concept. Okay, inheritance. So how do you create a? So we know that I'll create one class. I'll call it as animal. Okay, I'm going to create a class called as animal. I'm going to create one method called as speak. I'll print it as animal speaking. Okay, I'll print it as animal speaking. Now I'll create one more class called as dog. And I'll inherit, this is my parent. Okay, I'll inherit this one. So I'll inherit animal. Okay. I'll inherit animal. Okay, in this, I'll create one more method called as bark. Dog will bark, right? Okay. And I'll print dog is barking. Okay, and I print like this. Now, when I create an object, of this particular class, like a dog, d is equal to dog. Okay, and if I want to call that method d dot bark, this we know, right? We can even call speak because I'm here. My child class is inheriting the parent class animal. So d dot speak also will come. Okay, this is called as inheritance. You are inheriting the properties of the parent class. See, I have not created this method called as speak. Okay, I have not created a method called as speak. I'm inheriting from the parent. This concept is called as inheritance. You are taking the properties of the parent class. This is called as a parent class. Base class is called as a parent, and derived class is called as a child class. Just keep the heading as inheritance and make a note of the small program. I'll tell you the concept tomorrow. For tomorrow, I have a meeting. I will not take tomorrow evening, but I want to take Saturday morning. Is it okay if I take Saturday morning for you?
What time,
And-
sir? Saturday early morning?
Yeah, you tell me what time you want to come. All of you.
Early morning.
Early
7
morning.
to
7 to
7 to 9 okay, or 8 to 9 okay?
7 to 9, okay, right?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So everybody tomorrow I have a meeting. I may get delay. I'm not sure whether I'm able to make it by 7 o'clock or not. We'll compensate. We lost one more class also, right? Today, this week, we'll compensate it on Saturday morning. I'll compensate. I also have one practice. I'll tell you. I'll share my experiences. How an interview takes place. What types of the questions they ask you on the manual side and also on the Python Selenium. These things I'll be sharing with you people. Okay, that is how you get benefited from this course. Any questions? Anybody? Yes. No.
No, sir.
yes.
Here.
Yeah.
Okay. Saturday, can we have a video call?
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you, sir.